I'm going to show you how to make this super cool mandala out of wire and beads. To make the mandala, you're going to need a variety of beads. I have between 6mm and 8mm and some longer beads. And we're going to need 20 gauge wire. So what you're going to do is start with 3 pieces that are about 6 inches long. And the tricky part is to set it up, so you want to make sort of an X formation and then get another piece of wire that's about 20 gauge, or it could be a little thinner, and you want to just wind this wire around each one quite snugly. So we'll start with that one. This is the same way I set up my snowflake ornament, so I could put a link to that video as well if you want to make a snowflake. And you're just going to go around, and then you're going to add the 3rd wire. And don't worry if they shift around a little bit, because you can adjust them after. And you will want to cut the little end off that you started with. So we'll just clip that little extra end off. And then continue winding the wire around so they're more or less the same distance apart. And you want to make sure you go around all of them. There. And now we're back to the beginning. So we'll just go around that last one. And then you're going to cut it very close to the end. And at that point, if you need to, you can use the flat pliers and pinch the ends in a little bit. So you'll start by putting a pattern of beads that you like on one side, and then you want to turn the end into a loop, just with your round pliers like that. And then I would do the opposite side, because you want to make sure you secure the beads as you go. And sometimes these wires have a tendency to slip out a little bit. So this way, if you work one edge at a time and the opposite sides, then you're guaranteed not to lose your beads all over the floor. I've done workshops where people do all the ends and then they hand it to me to twist the ends, and the beads go all over the place, so you don't want that. And you can leave a little bit of slack between the beads if you want, because we're going to be winding wire around, so we're going to do all of our ends. So now that you have the basic shape of the mandala, we're going to fill in the edges a little bit. So we're going to take a piece of 20 gauge wire, and I just twisted the end into a little loop, and we're going to hook it onto here. And you can pinch the end in a little bit with the flat pliers so it stays. And what we want to do is add some beads and some detail in between. So I'm going to just bend it down. I'm going to get another bead. This one's a 6mm bead, so we're going to put a 6mm bead on there. It's a little awkward working with a long piece of wire. You can actually do it in stages if you find the wire is too long. And so imagine where you want the bead to be kind of centered like that, and then you could go ahead and wind this wire around it, and you could even go around it to make a little bit of a spiral formation. It's actually easiest if it is a round bead, but don't worry if it's not a perfect spiral. So we're just going to work our way around. This wire is actually aluminum, so if you work with copper wire, it's going to be a lot easier because it's going to be it's going to naturally make a loose kind of shape of a spiral. So if you wind it a bit and then you actually go back and kind of loosen it up like that, it'll make a nice loose spiral. And like I said, with the copper wire, it's a lot easier because it naturally is very soft. So then you want to make sure that these are the right distance apart. You can unwind it a bit if you need more space. So you're going to go like that, and then you'll just twist it around here. And if you see you need more wire, you can go around it again. If you're having trouble making the spiral around the bead, you can always add a round form. I like to use the Sharpies, and you can go around it a few times like that, just to create your round spring. And then you can actually work it around the bead after. You'll get it started on the bead and then spiral it around a round form, and then you just kind of spread it out a little bit and work it around the bead. It might be easier for you to do it that way if your wire's not cooperating. So you just kind of wiggle it around once you've had the spiral formed. And you want them to be more or less even, but if they're not exactly the same, it's no big deal. It doesn't have to be completely symmetrical. And then once you have this in the position, you're going to wind it around there. So to finish it off, we'll just bring the wire around and clip the end. And you can pinch it into place with your flat pliers if you like. And at this point, you can just kind of wiggle it around to center it. So to fill in the rest of the mandala, I strung a bunch of beads, including this very cool plastic eye bead. And I'm just going to get a long piece of wire and twist the beads around here. So you'll start by just twisting this one around, and then you're going to go here, and you want to make sure you can measure the amount of beads that looks like it's going to be even all the way around. It might take some trial and error. You can always put a wire around and just check it first to see that the beads are going to fit. So you're going to twist that on like that, and then you're going to do the same thing over here. So I had a few too many beads, but it actually works out really well, because what you can do is put, if this is a little longer than overlaps that, what you could do is actually pull these beads down, and it's going to make a nice kind of shape to the mandala. So if you pull them down, it's going to give you more space like that. And you can put that one attached like that. You can just wiggle them around. The wire's pretty flexible. And then you'll be able to put this end on here. So it's not that much more beads than you would think. You're going to just clip that. And then at this point, you can just arrange this how you like. And this is actually great because it fills up a little bit of the empty space that is there. And it makes it kind of like a star mandala. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and add more beads around the outside to make like a circle thing, but I think it looks really cute like that. So there is your mandala. So I decided to twist a little wire, just plain wire around the outside to give it a kind of a halo effect, so it's more circular. So my daughter, Mimi AG, you can check her out on YouTube, she suggested that this looked a little bit plain, so I'm actually going to add some beads on there. she said it would be a good idea to wind some beads around the wire, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. So we're going to get a wire that's 24 gauge, and what we'll do is just twist it around this wire. And if you find it awkward to work with such a long wire, you can always do it with a few small pieces of wire. So we just twist it around once, and then we'll add a bead on there. So when you get to the end, you're just going to twist it around a complete time like that. Clip it really short. And there you have your mandala with the beads to make it look a little more finished. There you go. Thanks so much for watching the video. Give it a big thumbs up if you like it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more DIY videos. And if you have suggestions for other DIYs, just let me know in the comments below. And if you make a wire mandala with beads, post a picture on Instagram or other social media and hashtag or @ me at Heather Boyd Wire.